Hello all of you little demons, Jules here for WhatCulture.com, and before I start today's very, very special video, I kind of need to set the record straight somewhat. You see, in the global party that seems to be Switch appreciation, I've kind of been a bit of a ghost at the feast. I've always been standing outside the window, paw just dragging down ever so slightly, tear in my eye as I watch people enjoy these first-party Nintendo games. And the thing is, this is the console that I've always wanted, yet for some reason or another, I've never pulled the trigger on it. And it's not like they're trying to bar me from entry. No, Nintendo, they've put a sign on the door saying, all are welcome, and it's very cold outside. Well, now, I can finally say, hand on heart, I am a true and red and blue Switch player, and I love this console. I think the reason that I waited so long was deep down is because I've been waiting for Nintendo to answer the question of how to approach this new generation of hardware. As with the PS5 and Xbox Series X pushing eye-watering specifications, the gap between them and Nintendo Switch only seemed to be widening, which made it all the more strange that Nintendo's answer to the question of, well, what are you going to do in response, seemed to be, well, what we are going to do is we're going to take our 2017 model and tweak it slightly with this OLED edition. And it's like, okay, that is a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off, which definitely seemed to be what the fans, both die-hard and casual, were thinking upon this product's release announcement. But this is the thing. I've had my time with this. I have played the ever-loving piss out of it. And I can say, it's finally clicked. Before I go on, I just need to say as well, thank you very much, Nintendo, for providing the console for review, as well as a copy of Metroid Dread, which I will get to in a bit. So like the satisfying snap of the Joy-Cons being locked into place and the immeasurably pleasant clicks, whistles, and beeps the console makes when navigating its menus, this is pure and unadulterated pleasure in handheld form. But I need to make this clear from the off. This is not the wheel being reinvented. This is the polishing of a diamond. With a slick, thin bezel design offering a wider portal into the action than ever before, a thicker, sturdier stand to help with remote play sessions, a greater starting internal storage space, LAN ports, and an updated speaker system, this new model screams quality of life improvements all across the board. And thanks to that lush and crisp OLED screen, things have literally never looked better. Especially when you're using all of this juice to soak up the goodness that is Metroid Dread. And that's why I decided to make this sort of combination video, because that is the best way to show the harmony between console and game, as right here, God, it is hitting all the right numbers. For a start, welcome back, Metroid. It has been a long wait, but my lord is it good to see you again. And I mean that quite literally, as the sharp and clean visual design of this game pops like never before on the OLED screen. Backgrounds shimmer with light that bounces off of regal golds and pushes through thick alien fauna. And almost every new area you enter carries with it some unique touches to make the world of ZDR feel both alive and rather decrepit after falling into ruin under mysterious circumstances. And Samus's design here in this game is something that I utterly adore. It kind of looks like a ton of Skittles have been smashed together to form this new armor, and it's held together by sinewy, alien, ropey muscle, and I really enjoy this because it looks like she is cobbling together the best of every single possible asset that she can to become this ultimate killing machine. And this is definitely displayed in her animations, from the way that she charges full forward into a speed boost, or to the wonderful poses that she strikes while entering free aim. Every action she makes feels confident and liquid fast, all of which plays into selling the strength of her character. In fact, this allows me to bring up one of my biggest all-time pet peeves in gaming, and that is when you get a cool cutscene character, somebody who does all of these cartwheels and backflips in a cutscene, but as soon as you're given control, acts like a complete dope. There is nothing that breaks the experience more for me than that. And luckily it seems that Nintendo were aware of this dilemma, because now they've provided the sort of interactive cutscene or set piece that makes me feel like I truly am the badass that I know that Samus is. Whether it's through the use of quick time event style counters, or even immersive scripted sections where the action plays out, but you're still able to blast the face off of an enemy as fast as you can mash the controller buttons. And I love the one-hit counter system that they've got here. If you manage to time it right, it opens up the enemy to just literally being obliterated, and nothing makes you feel cooler than that. It might be a small feature on the surface, but it's an incredibly powerful one when it comes to making a connection with the player. And speaking of power, the dynamic between enemies and Samus is one in constant constant flux here in Dread, and it becomes one of the game's best features. You see, the setup for this title is that Samus has been sent to this new planet called ZDR in search of the X-Parasite. And don't worry, this is all established in the first 30 seconds or so of the game. And as you're there, you start to realize that something has gone terribly, terribly wrong. You see, before Samus arrives here, it turns out that the federal government has sent over these things called EMMYs. They're giant robots with incredibly tough armor to go and investigate the site before she got there. Problem is, they've all gone completely silent, and you can see where this is going. Because where it comes all full circle in terms of power dynamics is that now the EMMYs are being controlled by a mysterious force, and they are out for your blood. Quite literally, in fact, which gives birth to Dread's greatest and most tense moments. In certain areas, you can counter these rogue bots, and seeing as each is coated in this near unbreakable alloy and can insta-kill you in one hit, you will be sweating bullets each and every time one spots you. The EMMYs are presented in the same way that Nemesis was in Resident Evil 3, always showing up at the worst possible moment to ruin your day. And here's the thing, every single EMMY is produced differently. Some can sprint faster than you can, others can freeze you in place, and it means that each time you come across one, you're having to deal with an increasing threat that is just ever escalating. As such, the experience becomes laced with fear as you try to figure out how to get through these areas, and I utterly adored these moments because not only did they test out my animalistic fight or flight mechanic and forced me to make snap decisions on how to traverse areas quickly, but also because of how subtly brilliant the level design is in these moments. As I panicked and scrambled to find the nearest exit, the game was subtly pushing me towards skills and power-ups that I'd then be able to use against them. And once I defeated enemies and gained this super-powered blast, which is the only way you can actually use to defeat the EMMYs, it was definitely a moment of, oh, look how the tables have turned, my friend, because now Samus is in the driving seat. However, the EMMYs aren't the only foes in this game that will push you to your limit and beyond, as with this title comes a new central baddie, and with him comes a brand new retinue of forces that are both agile and extremely deadly, meaning that you will be constantly faced with challenges wherever you go, and therefore Dread starts to earn its name. But you will want to explore each and every area because hidden across all of the themed locations are power-ups, special skills and health upgrades, all of which you will desperately need come the close of this adventure. And trust me, you will need all of them for this final boss because he is no joke whatsoever. I died countless times against him and it was just, at the end of it, I was like, am I actually punching a wall? Is this boss even beatable? Good luck. But all of this combines to make a title that is so jam-packed full of action and content that it is thoroughly satisfying from start to finish, and one that rewards the player at every step. Whether it's providing you new abilities that will help you down once impossible enemies, or providing that, now I understand moment with a little tricky puzzle that you needed to solve, it constantly makes it feel like you and Samus are growing at the same time, and that connection is something that's very important to this game. But that being said, there were some elements of this title that didn't resonate as strongly with me, namely the way that it doles out its narrative. Now, I understand that it's very common in the Metroid series of games to have Samus forget all of her skills so that she can then go through the process of learning them all and getting new ones along the way, and it tweaks and just resets you every single time. I get that that's how these games are played, but this game uses a rather, well, there's no other word for it, rather lazy way to explain how she loses them this time. Physical amnesia. Okay. Personally, I think that is more than a little lazy for a title that has put in so much effort elsewhere. But at least it's not as ham-fisted as the dialogue that you get with Adam, the AI that you check in with routinely as you progress through your adventures. Because basically at every single turn, he will tell you that you suck, that you have no options, you are completely alone, you're adrift in space, no one's coming to help you, and you might as well give up. He's just an absolute pessimist from start to finish. But he also repeats himself over and over again, even when you're leveling up and powering up your abilities, and you think to yourself, no, I'm doing all right, Adam. Look at what I've done. Chill out, dude. And without going into too many spoilers, there is a late game twist that I'm sure will put all Metroid fans on their ass, and maybe not in the best way possible. You might be sitting there thinking towards the end of this game, really? That was the rug pull you were going for? Okay, However, these are rather minor ripples in the deep ocean of enjoyment that I got from this game. Its level design is meticulous, its power-ups incredibly fun to use, and its action is always set to a near constant boiling point. In short, I couldn't put this game down. It had its hooks in deep from the moment that I started playing. And from a gameplay perspective, I actually consider this to be one of the best Metroid games out there. Whether or not it stands the test of time when it comes to its narrative, that's a different question. I think that some fans are going to bounce off that moment and other people are going to say, yeah, fair enough. It's, as Nintendo said the other day, it's at the end of this chapter and it's moving on with something else. Fine. I can live with that if they build on it rather than just go, yeah, that was a weird day at the office, wasn't it? Still, I played this game from start to finish. I couldn't put it down. I stress tested the hell out of the OLED's battery life, and trust me, the system performs so well and it looks so gorgeous on it. So that's my thoughts on Metroid Dread. But now we go back to the original question. Is the OLED system worth it? Is there a reason why you should buy this or just stick with the original one that you've got? The thing is, it comes down to what type of fan you are. Because let's face it, the new screen here is amazing, there is no doubt about that, and the richness of colour and brightness was so easy on the eye, but is that enough to convince current owners to upgrade? For newcomers, this is actually the version that I'd recommend because you are literally getting the best Nintendo has to offer right now. And for die-hard fans, they'll probably get this as well, seeing as it as a refinement of a console they already love. Where Nintendo is going to struggle though is converting the casual market that either thinking of dipping their toe in but are being put off by that increased price. It is more expensive, but I do think the price is somewhat justified by the small increases in tech on offer here. I do wish that they'd moved the charging point to the top, but I assumed that this would have required a near full redesign of the console, and that is not what this is. This is not a revolutionary console. It is a refinement of what made the console so great to begin with. If I was to be brutal about this, I'd say that it is beautiful, it is sleek, it is so well designed, but it is only a small improvement on the previous incarnation of the console. It is the iPhone of the video game console world, and how you feel about that is going to determine how you feel about the OLED Switch model. You'll either love it because of it's the best that it is at the moment, but others might have reservations about the increased price and only small increases in tech. I can't answer that question for you. I can only say that I loved my time with this console. I adore what Nintendo has provided here, and it has literally never looked or sounded better. But one thing that I am completely sure on, that is Metroid Dread kicks ass. And there we go, my friends. Those were my thoughts on the OLED Switch model and Metroid Dread. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on Twitter at RetroJ, or you can swing by Live and Let's Dice, where I do all of my streaming outside of work, and you might even see some Switch content coming on there very, very soon. Thank you very much again, Nintendo, for sending both a copy of the console and Metroid Dread. Big love to you, my friends. So, that has been it from me today. Treat yourself with love and respect. Have a great day, whatever it is you're getting up to. And I'll speak to you soon. Peace.